Hi, I'm Bob Belo. Welcome to the show. We're down in Florida again, where we started a project a few weeks ago, and we're basically converting abandoned shipping containers, big steel boxes, into affordable homes like the one you see behind me. Today, we're wrapping this one up, so we're going to give you a tour of the exterior, showing you all the different finishes that were used, and on the inside, where it looks like a traditional home. Stick around. It's trucked to the site in 4 sections, or intermodal steel building units. The ISBUs were craned onto the foundation and welded to steel plates that had been installed in the concrete.
Is concrete block.
And the foundation.
And the foundation concrete block. We have ISBU, which is 16-gauge steel box inside of there.
Okay. I love that. Yeah.
And the same thing on the other end, and in between the two, we have metal framing, conventional framing with 16-gauge sheathing on that, and then the gable ends have plywood.
Again, so you've had to kind of solve transitional problems between one material and the other.
Correct.
And if we look up there at the gable end of this small projection, you can see where you've essentially put a band that you've picked out in a tan or a beige color. And that provides a separation between those two materials.
Correct. It helps with the transition.
Yeah, that was a great idea. I mean, also down here, we have what essentially in an old bungalow would be called the because it goes all the way down the central hall to that end, and you feel like the space is
much bigger.
It's a bigger volume. Yeah. And off the central hall, you've got 4 bedrooms, which is a lot for a small house. You've got a master bedroom with its own dedicated bathroom. And then you've got 3 more bedrooms, a spacious bathroom down at the end. What about the interior trim for these windows? The conventional truss roof system was bolted to the containers right over their own steel roofs. And each truss is attached with special hardware to resist hurricane force uplift.
The basic erection procedure for a gable roof. And before we get started, just a couple of little points. Depends on what you prefer to do, whether you put your ceiling frame in first or you do it after you erect the actual roof. But whichever way you do it, you really need to mark out the position of your rafters first and then position your ceiling frame around that. Okay, so we set out for our rafters first and our ceiling pretty much at the same time, and then whichever way you want to construct it. A lot of people prefer nowadays to put the ceiling frame in first, and that way that gives them something to lay planks on, so they can actually get up and do their put their roof together. But anyway, as I said, whichever way you do it, mark out for your roof first, and then position the ceiling frame around it. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to get rid of the ceiling frame because it's going to make things look too busy. So the first step is to set up the first set of what I call centering rafters, which is the first set of common rafters in from each end. And generally these will be whatever your rafter spacing is from the end of the plate. That's where you'll set up your first set of common rafters or centering rafters. So I set them up first, and then I'm going to put my ridge up there. And you'll notice the ridge extends out past the plate, and it extends out far enough to allow for the overhang of the barge or the verge, whichever one you prefer. So we have to allow for that in our length of our ridge as well. Once we've done that, we can then just start throwing the rest of our common rafters at our spacing. So we've got all our common rafters into the roof now. Then the next step is to start working on our verge. So what we're going to do first is set up what we call a verge plate. And once again, same material as our rafters, except this is on its flat, and it's positioned so that it's underneath the line of the rafter. And you'll see why in a minute. So I have to get it there. And just to give some support, we'll throw what we call the gable wall in. That'll give some support to our verge plate and stop any deflection in that, as well as giving something to fix our cladding material to. Then we're going to install our trimmers or outriggers, depending on what you call them. So once again, same material as our rafters, cut long enough so they finish the width of our rafter shorter than our ridge. Okay, once again spaced at our rafter spacing, or as a maximum spacing up the verge. Then we can put our verge rafters on. As you can see, the verge rafter should finish flush with the ridge that we put in. That's why we have to cut our outriggers a little bit short. That's the main frame of the roof. Now we've got to support everything. So underneath our rafters, about halfway up, depending on the size of the roof again, we put in our purlins. In this case it's a very small roof, so we don't have to strut in the middle, but we we need to throw in a set of struts going down onto our wall plates. And if we had a bigger roof, we'd have to put these, also a set of struts in the middle, down onto an internal wall or maybe a strutting beam if we needed to. And the struts have to be worked in around our ceiling frame. So bring the ceiling frame back up. You can see I've had to cut them around these couple of little trimmers here. So it takes a little bit of working out where they need to go. So then on top of our purlins, we can put in our collar ties. Every second set of rafter needs a set of collar ties. Just there. And with the ceiling frame back in position, that is a very simple gable roof, constructed, ready to go.
You were talking earlier with me about the transitions of materials and stuff, and here in the gable end we kind of see what you're talking about.
This is a very good example of what happens because you have 16 gauge sheet metal on the right side,
yeah,
and on the left side where the ISBUs are located.
Right.
And in the middle we have conventional construction with sheet metal applied, and above in the gabled end we have conventional framing and plywood sheathing. All those materials have to work together and have good transitions between those textures and finishes. It's a real challenge, but with these horizontal bands that we're using here, it's an excellent way of making that transition.
Again, where we started a project a few weeks ago, and we're basically converting abandoned shipping containers, big steel boxes, into affordable homes like the one you see behind me.